Hello again. The Fiji National Platform for Disaster Risk Management and Climate Change Conference may have ended on Friday, but not before lessons were drawn during a visit last week to Teilevu. Delegates visited Cuba Village to see for themselves the impact of climate change on the ground. Apisolame Rambo with the details.
Stepping onto a platform developed and designed to withstand the wrath of Mother Nature, these participants of a recent climate change conference are here in Cuba to learn a thing or two about the effects of climate change.
During high tide, we can actually see the water coming. Now we have spring tide, and spring tide, that's something else. I'm just talking about the normal high tide. Yeah. So water comes right up to the and it made it worse during the any adverse weather coming across, just a storm or squally weather. So you can see where the village hall is. That's where the seawater always ends up to.
The stormwater drains that now runs through the village with connecting culverts into a sea wall has dried up the village floor, stopping the normal tidal surge inundation.
So we're not going to stop there, but we'll try to continue the help that's been given to us and help the environment by, stop cutting the trees on the edge of the sea and the land. So we save that. So, that serves two purposes. The sea spray protects us from the sea spray, as well as the soil erosion from the land back to the sea.
Located on the coast of Teilevu, this area's vulnerability to adverse weather elements will put the durability of this man-made structure to the test.
Relocation is not in our mind at the moment, but should worse come to us, then we'll have to look at that. That's an option as well. But right now, we're happy with the seawall here, and of course the general instructions have been given to the villagers to protect our land from being washed away into the sea.
Tambua says the biggest challenge at the moment is to change the mindset of the people. Apisolame Rambo, FJ1 News.
Now, with its reconciliation out of the way, the Methodist Church is now preparing for its annual Mbose Koviti. After decades of heavy involvement in national politics, those in the church hierarchy already making it clear that they will be charting a new direction for the church into the future.
The festive mood signifying the culmination of preparations done by the church, not only from its top office bearers but also at the congregational church level.
You can feel the very much a very positive spirit of love and reconciliation permeating through the communities here. The energy, as you can feel, is very good here, and so we're just giving thanks to God for that.
Bhagwan says this week is all about celebrating forgiveness and reconciliation.
This year, some of the key things that will happen will be the election of a new president, as per the need because of the passing away untimely of Reverend Dr. Tuikilakila Wangai Ratu. All those who hold positions of authority in the church at the executive level, all positions are elected annually, so we will all go through that election process.
Healthy living has also become a priority, the onset of NCDs also impacting the congregation.
We hope that they can give us some feedback so we can ascertain the general health of our leadership, of our church ministers, and that would be a good thing. But it's also giving us a chance to focus on ensuring that those who are part of our community are healthy people.
The Methodist Church annual conference starts next week. Apisolame Rambo, FJ1 News.
The Suva waterfront was a hive of activity this morning. Children along with adults converged to take part in what has now become the annual Dhamakau races. Started a few years ago, this is a race that encourages the use of traditionally designed wooden sailboats.
A historical snapshot of the past now been relived and revived. A race of its replicas started off proceedings, warming up the crowd.
Balita na sauliu kan karuan na rendre ni lakon niwanga era do biloka kinona bienben. Sa mananu menaturang tibulanga. Merasa lius talman merata nonra wanga bakabiti. Merau ni ram marrelius tal na kini top kan kani palpal karau ni ngar non rambula main na sauliu ni bula sataran non buru buru.
The judges had the best seat for the day, while this lone spectator preferred to bring along some home comforts. Then it was time for the big boys, as all sails were hoisted, to the delight of onlookers. The Mbakanawa is a replica of a traditional Fijian canoe. It has a hull and a trigger and a mast. It moves without an outboard motor. Imagine the coordination made by our forefathers in those days as they moved from island to island.
May nalomani ang bagsawti may ato nalomani tinin na baki mango era to na di bakati kun hibiscus. Ya may nalomani tiningo ni baki mango. Sana tiki tiku ni hibiscus go sai na taka na bitawanga. Po ni binata ki wali na olinga na non na bito kun tiku non ngole mawira na hibiscus contestant. Era mai tiku ni kwa upa ka ungi titalike non rawira era mai warong kira to na bakanawa pate kira na tamakau era mai bisi.
Those behind these say this is more than just a spectacle.
Dio na undolu tulan rau katini na idobi kete pakai labo. Wira era na mai baita bitiko. Era sini bai dobi ndo nga wira era matai kana katul. Karu katul. We tiku taltunga na iboga malum wira na wira kede ra baita bi nambak ko. Mai nabi ambak saut si medo nambak ko toso takitunga na wili. Era mai baita bi. Nambak na nambak saut si 5.5 na kare wili. Ngo sa 7.5.
There was a total of 82 entrants. It's an event likely to grow in the coming years. Apisolame Rambo, FJ1 News.
Meanwhile, the Methodist Church has also reaffirmed it will not play an active role in politics. But the church says that does not mean it cannot contribute to national debate on social or economic issues that affect its congregation.
By its very nature itself, the country's largest religious denomination is also a political animal. But even it realizes there is a very fine line with mixing its own internal political structures with the national politics of the day.
The church is political by nature. As a community that deals with social issues, we will always speak out on those issues. However, we are non-partisan in terms of we do not promote any particular party.
The message now is also about looking to the future.
What we are trying to do is share this feeling of reconciliation, of unity that we are experiencing and extending that to the society at large.
Bhagwan says the church is now all about openness and objectivity.
Throughout the week we have had people from all walks of life. There have been politicians and other social leaders, community leaders come to visit us, come to spend time with us, to celebrate with us. And for us, I think that's very important. It shows that people are recognizing that our attempts at reconciliation within and also outwards is genuine, because we want to live the right life as a church. And we can only speak out on issues if we are practicing it ourselves.
Apisolame Rambo, FJ1 News.
Fiji First today held its Family Fun Day in Osori. Throngs of party supporters showed up to listen to party leader Vorenge Bainimarama speak to them on a number of issues ranging from education, health, the economy and also land security. But top of it all is the importance of their vote come September 17th. Apisolame Rambo was there and filed this report.
From afar, it could have been mistaken as the Tambara Festival at Nosori's Syria Park on the banks of the Rewa River, but the crowd had gathered here to meet Fiji First leader Vorenge Bainimarama. With traditional protocols sorted, Bainimarama reminding supporters that polling not only started on the 17th, but as soon as next Wednesday.
Not only on the 17th, it starts on the 3rd, on the 4th, Maritime Islands, in the rural areas. Some will be starting to vote next week. It is a very important vote for you.
With a cross-section of people present here at Syria Park, Bainimarama used the turnout to drive home Fiji First multiracial policies.
Before, when we used to go and vote, we used to line up because of our ethnicity, because of our race. 2 ticks, one for communal and one for open seat. That's gone. When you go and vote now, it's just 1 line. And it's just 1 tick, 1 vote. It's a very important vote for the people of Fiji.
For some, having a last run through the party's policy to confirm their decision was vital. A turning point, stressed by Bainimarama.
Or you want to go back to the radical policies of discrimination that has been the downfall of Fiji in the last 20-30 years.
The people of Tailevu, Naitasiri and Rewa have gathered here for Fiji First Family Fun Day at the Syria Park in Nosori. It could be a gauge for the party to see for themselves the actual support they have on the ground. Absalom Rambo, FJ1 News.
Fiji First is confident the party will win the upcoming 2013 general election. Speaking to FJ1 News yesterday at the party's fun fair in Nosori, party president Kurabui says signs on the ground are positive. Absalom Rambo has more.
The only party with a full complement of 50 candidates going into the September 17 polls, Fiji First is not hiding its optimism.
We are going to win. Fiji First will win. That is the information from the ground. That is the feel on the ground. And although there have been a lot of statements, and that is typical of campaigns, they'll make statements, they'll try to run each other down.
It seems one of the party's strategies is to direct all voter attention to its figurehead, party leader Vorenge Bainimarama, while the remaining 49 candidates focus instead on pocket meetings. Dr. Luveni says their strategy is simple. It is based on truth.
I really am surprised at the level of lies that are being mooted around, and to resort to that, so low as to talk lies just to win votes.
Dr. Luveni says voters are not gullible, and their record on the ground speaks for itself.
And I think with the Fiji First Party, all we have to offer is what we are doing, and it's very evident. We have facts, to provide to the people, to the voters, and they have received that very well. And we are very credible in that respect.
Acknowledging the fact that the Suva-Nosori corridor holds the bulk of the registered voter numbers of over 200,000, the next Fiji First Family Fun Fair is scheduled to be held at the Valelevu grounds soon. Absalom Rambo, FJ1 News.
Now, just a quick correction to what I mentioned earlier. It's the 2014 general election. Now, Fiji First leader Vorenge Bainimarama has for the first time openly declared that the real battle come September 17th will be between only two political parties, Fiji First and the Social Democratic Liberal Party, or SODELPA. He has also brushed aside competition from other political parties as he launched an all-out attack on what he has now described as a campaign based on outright lies by his opponents. Absalom Rambo again with that story.
The Fiji First leader not mincing his words about the tactics he alleged that his opponents are using on the campaign trail.
Fiji First, wata na SODELPA. Una kata me matata minati una vitanongo. Kena boke ni party, ralele lai, so nandun menda waritaka. Ni kawaitaka na non-retu na SODELPA nangonongo.
Bainimarama says the least SODELPA officials and candidates themselves can do is to be honest with their supporters and stick to the facts.
Kunindo amay last talk kemni ni raraw na kena sol nengel nito kay. That's all rubbish. Ni kuni mo ambota. Ya na biwan don taki. Ketole na kabaya vo gichungo. Rakota vo gichungo na timini SODELPA.
The Fiji First leader also argues that SODELPA's preoccupation with the secular state issue, which he says has also been twisted into what he described as an outright lie.
Do tayo na vital no ni lotu. Sa ronga abog mengo katabu tukun mebiketo. Merto na tim ni SODELPA to ya abog chiko. Merto tukunin sana ka o tingara biting-tingi sa tabu sana tabu taboy na masubichisu. Ngo endo na vital no avilostaki.
The Fiji First party leader also took the time to challenge SODELPA head-on.
Nalotu bichisu sige buka tau wana biting-tingi. Kaya lotu chungo ay nasingin to etarowa na numulotu. Alam nasara. Peka muni na SODELPA ni warong chungo ni kau tanay tuku velostaki virna leni vanua merabakalo matakin.
When contacted today, a SODELPA spokeswoman said they won't reply to the allegations. Absalom Rambo, FJ1 News.
The Methodist Church has raised just under $1 million at the close of its Golden Jubilee celebrations as well as its annual conference. The approximate figures is $977,000, $52.25. Levies received from 198,000 odd membership recorded at just under $500,000. As Absalom Rambo reports, with its finances now in order, it's now time to focus on its core role.
The church may be a non-profit body, but even they need funds to maintain themselves and help serve their faithful. The financial breakdown made public by the church shows a little over 477,000 collected through levies on its 198,777 membership. Methodist faithful in the U.S. also contributing 160,000 to the church coffers. With its financial foundation now solid for the next 12 months, today it was on the task of ordaining 15 new ministers.
We were stopped a few years ago from doing all this, and this year is the first time ever, after the 5-6 years that we have gone the route to have the celebration reinstituted the whole week, and of course the conference, and of course today is ordination, and we are ready to move on.
Nawandra says the spirit of reconciliation that has recently manifested itself within the ranks of the church is evident today.
In that act of reconciliation, we have all come together, and we, the confessions that were given, we sort of do away with the past, even though we will continue to remember it, because otherwise we will be lost, and move forward to the future.
The president also acknowledging the overwhelming support from his own people.
After Reverend Tui gone, and Reverend Lai, of course, came, and he was initially from Mual and then moved to Didia, and I am here, and the vice president as well, vice president-elect, is also married to a Mualan lady. So it's a wind of change that is blowing now. Hopefully we will not disappoint people.
With the sound financial coffer, the appointment of new church ministers, and an invigorated denomination, 2014 for the Methodist Church in Fiji certainly looks promising. Apisola Marambo, FJ1 News.
A prayer vigil is being organized by the Methodist Church. The vigil will be open to all religious denominations and has been supported by the military as the public is encouraged to pray for the safe return of our 45 peacekeepers. Apisola Marambo with the story.
Since the news of the abduction of the 45 peacekeepers reached our shores last Friday, members of the Methodist Church have been praying for their safety. In fact, a senior member of the church is also part of the 45 men held captive.
We have a chaplain serving in the Golan Heights as well, with the contingent there. So we have had some discussions, and knowing that it will take some time for the negotiations to pan out, we are holding a peace vigil, prayer vigil, tomorrow, Tuesday at 12 o'clock here at Centenary Church.
Bhagwan says the endorsement of the military has greatly assisted the church play its part in comforting families of all 45 still held captive.
This has been in consultation with the commander and with those who organize prayer vigils and peace vigils in the ecumenical community. So the invitation has gone out to other denominations, and we would like to use this opportunity to also invite members of the public, members of the community of Fiji, regardless of what denomination or faith journey they follow.
Reverend Bhagwan says it will be much more than just a symbolic event.
We hope that the commander is available to attend to just give a brief update for us. We will then symbolically light 44 candles, one candle to represent each of the soldiers who is currently being held captive. And then there will be prayers. There will also be a quiet time for just silent reflection, meditation, and those in the community, those who are attending who wish to read a passage of scripture or say a poem or a prayer, will be given the opportunity to do so.
The prayer vigil will provide some much-needed personal comfort and solace to the families of the peacekeepers as well as a nation, also praying for their safe return. Apisola Marambo, FJ1 News.
The planned peace vigil was held today at Centenary Church in Suva. The midday service saw people of different faiths coming together to pray for our 45 UN peacekeepers still held captive in Syria. Reporter Apisola Marambo also attended the vigil and filed this report.
Leading a nation in prayer for the safety of their loved ones, ensuring spiritual comfort and peace to the families of our nationals taken hostage in Syria.
We are indeed very grateful that the turnout has been like this today. The whole place was filled up, and we are grateful that we have set a time like this to remember, one, the soldiers who are being captivated even though we do not know of their whereabouts. and of course the family who are here in Fiji. And this is an experience of death, in itself.
For the mothers, sisters and wives present during this prayer vigil, emotions and tears flowed with words of praise.
Tiko mosuka en mendarli sot tale na mule naka ya menangor sarang oda kina na itu kun sembare tu kun ya dana para kana tarani longo tu kun nendo me gavira na ya no vesongo na lo vengo aunque mungirtek me vio so para kana tarani no.
Today was all about offering some much needed encouragement, support, words of hope and a shoulder to lean on.
Prayers, continuous prayers has been going on, and I have support from families, and my mother-in-law has been a great support for me. She's going through the same thing I'm going through at the moment, and we're just hoping that they'll return home safely. But even if they return home harmed, if they lose a limb or anything, I don't mind, as long as they just get home safely.
Tears and emotions are flowing here inside the Centenary Church as the 45 candles for the Golan 45 have been lighted by relatives and people who have attended this prayer vigil. Until their safe return, all we can do is to pray and wait. Apisolo Marambo, FJ1 News.
Hello again. Political parties have reacted to the strong statement over the weekend by Fiji First Leader Voreqe Bainimarama that the 2014 polls will be nothing more than a two-party horse race. Bainimarama had said the real battle is now between his Fiji First party and SADELPA. Today other parties came out firing, saying we will only know for sure come September 17th.
The Fiji First Leader's strong statement that it was now only a two-horse race between them and SADELPA has certainly irritated other political players.
The leader of the Fiji First obviously has jumped the gun. The race is not over. We haven't yet reached the finish line, so we have the next 2 weeks. And any political leader who's jumping the gun is not respecting the wishes and the will of the voters, so he should wait, respect the will of the voters.
As expected, other parties are also confident of their chances.
Well, we believe that there's certainly some misunderstanding and quite possibly misinformation about, ground support. We firmly are of the view that One Fiji party is a party that is going to compete very well in these elections.
PDP thinks this is nothing more than just political maneuvering.
Fiji First doesn't want to have to deal with multiple parties in opposition. So for Frank to talk down the chances of any other parties is really a strategy for him. He wants the people of Fiji to think that it's just a two-horse race.
Not wanting to be ruled out, political parties says it's not over until the final ballot is cast and tallied up.
This might be the record for NFP in terms of attracting the number of Fijian votes to the party, and for one good reason, because we have some of the best indigenous Fijian candidates in our party, including the president, including all the women candidates, all the men in the party, people of repute, people of integrity, honesty, and a record of service.
We are also on the ground, and our support base we've been talking to have been going all around the country, and we feel that the race is not going to be a two-way race. It's obviously going to be a very exciting election, and we are looking forward to occupying seats in the next parliament.
This is something that we need to address and look at very carefully, because the beauty of this electoral system is that voters who vote in on individuals, that have the chances of winning majority is low. That's the first thing that will happen in this system, and also any coalition formed will be forced to build relationships and to negotiate and compromise with a greater voting section of the public.
Apisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
The Methodist Church maintains that it is not breaching the 2013 Constitution by being the preferred religion of our disciplined services. This comes after the fresh appointments of 2 senior church members as military chaplain and pastor of our corrections department. President Tevita Nawandra says even though the Constitution clearly states that church and state is separate, the fact that 2 key government agencies prefers to have Methodist pastors as full-time staff members is something that predates any constitution.
The Methodist Church has verified why it is the only Christian faith with a full-time chaplain or pastor in 2 of our disciplined forces, the military and corrections. The Church says this is something that predates even our Constitution.
When a troop was sent to France, there was a chaplain in that. So it's 100 years now, today. 100 years, 2014, and we have been working like that. And of course the chaplaincy in the prison, and just recently the chaplaincy in the force, in the police force.
Nawandra says the 2 disciplinary forces had indicated their need for the services of a chaplain.
They have approached the church that we need to have someone from the Methodist Church. The choice, of course, there is theirs. They appoint or they choose from whomever denomination that they want to choose. We are happy that they have chosen us to be the chaplain because of history and because of many other things that they have done together, the church and the government and the various institutions that I have mentioned.
Nawandra adds that chaplains have always served everyone equally.
I don't know about the spirit of the Constitution and all those. All we know that we have been working together, the church and our personnel that are there. They look after everybody. They look after not only the Methodist but every sector of the Fiji life or the Fiji people that are there in the military.
Just yesterday, Prime Minister Vorengem Bainimarama also cleared the air on the issues of secular state.
Government remains neutral when it comes to religious issues. The state doesn't say, because you're a Christian, you should get the best jobs in the civil service. Or because you are a Pentecostal civil servant, you should only serve members of your church first. Every single citizen is treated the same, whatever they believe in.
So while church and state remain totally separate under the secular definition in the 2013 Constitution, the Methodist Church is adamant that its links to a critical arm of the government like the military is based solely on faith, dating back over a century. Apisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
A very good evening. Local authorities continue to work with the United Nations and countries that can influence Fiji's position in Syria in relation to the ongoing detainment of our 45 peacekeeping troops. Speaking at a press conference this morning, Army Commander Brigadier General Moses Tikwetonga said that Fiji's foreign ministry is now working closely with its foreign missions to engage with countries of influence to assist in the negotiation process.
Our military has today acknowledged that dual loyalty is always a hallmark of any peacekeeper.
But there is also a national interest that's always at play, national pride and national interest. But at no stage in our operation would I expect any of my officers not to follow the decisions of the force commander.
Tikwetonga says Fiji BAT will remain neutral and serve by their own ethos of following commands, whatever the repercussions.
The Philippines have chosen to do so, and the Filipinos government have supported the Filipinos for having chosen the path they have chosen.
Undorf has equally felt the shake-up in the camp.
I know there is now a problem with command in the Undorf hierarchy because of the resignation of the Chief of Staff, who is a very important figure in the UN hierarchy, in the force hierarchy in Undorf.
But that has not changed the situation facing our 45 peacekeepers, with still no word on whether the UN will accept the 3 demands already laid down earlier this week by their captors.
We appreciate the work that the force commander is doing now in the difficult scenario that he's in. He's now moving around to all the Fijian positions and the Nepalese positions, reassuring everybody moving to each individuals and talking to individuals with CEO Fijibet and visiting all our people.
In the meantime, negotiators remain engaged in dialogue with the Al-Nusra Front as the Fiji government puts pressure on countries that can use its influence. Apisalam Rambo, FJ1 News.
Now, as we now count down to the one-day polling, all political parties are making full use of every chance they can grab to appeal to voters. Whether it's to do with the land issue, VAT, or the issue of party coalitions, one thing is certain: there will be no shortage of political ammunition exchanged between political parties in the coming days.
As we get closer to September 17th, the political temperature continues to rise. In Lambasa today, railing support for his cause, Fiji First Leader Vorenge Bainimarama once again reminding his support base of some of the critical issues at hand.
Every individual 18 years and above who should come out and vote. It is a very important election because the first time in Fiji's history, racial discrimination has been removed from this election.
But for parties like the PDP, there are other issues they want looked into.
Our people still continue to be intimidated. Then we believe that it would be impossible for them to vote in a free and fair manner.
However, for the NFP, today was about setting the record straight, hitting out at other parties in the process.
Fiji Labour Party candidates have been spreading lies about NFP already entering into a post-election coalition with Fiji First. The truth is that this demonstrates the desperation on the part of both parties. We have repeatedly stated since 7 December 2013 that we are fighting the elections on our own and intend to solely form a majority government.
While the outcome of September 17th is still very much anyone's guess, one thing is for sure: with just 8 days away, all political parties will be trying to convince our 591,000 voters to vote them in. Apisalam Rambo, FJ1 News.
While Kids Fiji will hold a round the island walk in Viti level. This is part of plans to revamp their services to offer assistance to those children with cancer. The 462-kilometer walk will take a total of 13 days with 12 overnight stops in villages along the highway. Apisalam Rambo with the details.
Living up to their name, Walk On, Walk Strong plans to do exactly that as they take their message on foot across the country.
At the overnight stops in the villages, we'll be talking to the villages and just getting a bit of feel of what the situation is out there and telling them about Wales Kids Fiji and the work that we do. And at the lunchtime stops, will be in most of the towns. At that time, again, we can do a bit of awareness campaign.
Duxbury says apart from the money side of things, the planned 462 kilometers walk is also about engaging directly with people.
We will advertise all the conditions in the newspapers, in the Fiji Times. That will give you the route and the days, the route per day, so you can see which day will be where, which part of the walk, and it will give you the contact details to get the sponsorship form. It's like a big walkathon, really.
Duxbury added the walk is non-exclusive and WOWS wants as many people to take part. For now, corporate support has come from entities like BSP Life, BSP Digital, Fiji Times and Fiji Television.
When we get back to Suva, we'll have the international Save It or Shave It head shave, which some rugby players overseas will be involved in that as well as anybody that would like to have their head shaven for Wales Kids Fiji here in Suva. And then we'll have a free concert after that.
The walk will end in Suva on Saturday, the 18th of October. Apisalam Rambo, FJ1 News.
A new and imposing structure will soon dominate the country's capital city skyline. This comes after last night's unveiling of the soon-to-be Grand Fijian Towers, a $110 million 30-story building in the heart of Suva.
An artist's impression of what the 120-meter-tall Grand Fijian Tower will look like once complete. Expected to dominate the capital city skyline, it will become the country's single largest real estate development in a long time. Last night, Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama unveiled the project.
If we see the intensity is diluting in the city with fringe developments happening, such as Damodar City in the Sinu area, I mean, Suva is just sprawling out. So we are trying to bring the heart back into the city. We are trying to bring 77 families to come and live right in the city.
The 30-story building will house up to 77 apartments, a hotel, a gym, swimming pools, as well as a rooftop cocktail bar.
The Sharma Group tells me that 350 new jobs will be created in the construction phase and at least 150 when the building is completed. So this is not only a project to capture the imagination, but create employment and boost the wider economy.
That is the vacant lot where the new 30-story building will be constructed on. Those behind the $110 million project expected to be constructed in at least 2 years.
We are using post-form construction for flooring system, which eliminates the requirement for beams and actually speeds up the level-by-level construction. This is going to be the first curtain wall building, so it takes away quite a few trades of the exterior of the wall, so it makes the construction much quicker.
Government says the magnitude of this project also reflects local investor confidence.
This project is a vote of confidence in Fiji by Fijians and a testament to the general confidence that my government has instilled in the business community with our reform program over the past 8 years.
Of the 77 apartments to make up the 30-story building, Sharma says 21 have already been booked. Apartment sizes will range from 120 square meters onwards up to 450 square meters, with price ranging from $800,000 to $4.8 million each. The project is expected to employ up to 350 workers during the construction phase and between 120 to 150 permanent jobs once complete. Apisolome Rambo, FJ1 News.
Good evening. Vanuakula village in Naitasiri was one of the last pre-polling stations in the Central Division that went into operation mode by 9 a.m. this morning. It's a village that has witnessed several development phases implemented by government during the years leading up to elections. Apisolome Rambo was in Vanuakula and filed this report.
It's 8:45 here in the morning, and in 15 minutes time polling will start here at the Vanuakula Catholic School. People are slowly trickling in to cast their votes. According to the presiding officer, they have about 250 ballot papers with them, and they expect a little less than that to cast their votes here this morning. By 3 p.m., all who have registered here will have cast their ballots. The dawn of the new morning could not have come at a better time for the people of Vanuakula. And for this first voter who cast the first ballot this morning, the transparent process was good enough for him. For this housewife who is voting for the second time, the excitement of coming to the polls also had its fair share of nervousness. For Tokasa Murideva, this election is all about meeting one of her personal concerns. And Titilia Silata, a first-time voter, sums it up well for the people of Vanuakula here in Naitasiri.
Bambimbi na biba novango Naitasiri, ambasi, mbasi mantanga ngonango sa durumelo manikoro, sa ndurunga mainu matani katumbo bondo nambasi, lako taun. Watakena ngonisala ngonango sa vinaksar.
Development have visited Vanuakula in the previous years leading up to elections, courtesy of the current government. And today, they've had their say at the polls. Apisolome Rambo, FJ1 News.
Navuso Methodist College was one of the last pre-polling stations to close its doors earlier this afternoon. To the small community, the newly introduced pre-polling scheme came as a blessing, as it brought closer to their doorstep the freedom to exercise their right to vote. Abisalome Rambo has more.
Navuso Methodist College pre-polling station was one of the last polling stations to close its doors this afternoon, but not after more than 3/4 of their registered voters had walked through its doors, some of whom felt the experience from previous elections was far better.
Because we have been given a long period of time to pick our candidates, to know them personally and what they will do to us. It was a bit, they give us a long period of time. In the partisan election, it's a very short time. So, but for me, it's easy for me because I knew all those previous candidates in the government. So it was easy for me to pick. So the difference is the times, the periods of times.
Turangambedi feels making the school a pre-polling station has been a blessing. However, some of the procedures were unfavorable to some voters.
We didn't even know who resembled this and who resembled that in different parties. So I think the government should put a clear views of all the candidates to us, to give us this freedom to pick.
For the international observers, it is an ideal time to scrutinize the process and make an objective assessment of its effectiveness.
It's something that's different, so it's very important that election observers look at pre-polling and make comment on that, which will happen later in the report, as well as obviously being out and about on the election day.
Out of the 50 people that registered for pre-polling at the station, about 37 voters had cast their ballots. Abisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
And pre-polling comes to an end today for the Central Division. Just over 60,000 people from around the country would have cast their votes during the pre-polling period. We now join Abisalome Rambo live, who is at Navuso village. Abisalome, tell us, how was the response to pre-polling at the station?
Thank you, Drew. Today, Saturday the 13th of September, is the 10th day of pre-polling. As you know, by this hour, an estimated 66,000 people should have cast their votes, according to the supervisor of election, Mr. Muhammad Sanim. 10 days on from when it actually started, from Wednesday last week. Now, people residing in the remotest areas of Fiji's two main islands, Viti Levu and Vuno Levu, have braved the terrain and some challenging landscape to make it into their polling station. We are here at the Navuso Methodist College, and right behind us is the polling station. Also with me is Mr. Manoa Serukeitonga, one of the voter and staff member here. Mr. Serukeitonga, how was the voting today at Navuso?
Thank you, Api. The pre-poll went out smoothly today, and we are so glad that we have done our part, we have casted our vote, and the whole community, including the students and staff, they are very happy to conclude the day today as we've casted our votes.
I understand that you expected about 50 people to cast their votes, but at the end of the day, only about 37 people walked through the doors of this polling station?
Actually, there was a total of 47 voters that's supposed to come and cast their votes at the school today, but only 36 turned out to do that with 13 didn't attend the vote today.
I understand members of this community used to cast their votes before at the Navuso District School. What are some of the problems? I sort of overheard a conversation today that some of the voters have probably double registered in here and at Navuso District School?
To my understanding, the Navuso District School was the polling station earmarked in the past, but due to the requirements, we sent to the elections office, and they've given the green light for us as a polling station to cast our votes here. And we know that there are some confusing part on that, as Api asked me that question. And to my understanding, only a few of our voters, they've text the elections office to get confirmations regarding their polling venue. And they were told with that confirmations that they should go and vote at the Navuso District School. And somehow their names also appeared in the voters list today in our polling venue.
In a nutshell, Mr. Seru Keitong, how was voting here today? To be brief.
The pre-poll here at Navuso today was awesome. The elections officials, they know, they really spelled out the information they should put across to the voters. And the voters as well, they were very, very happy that they came in numbers and cast their votes today.
Thank you, Drew. There are some anomalies were still there. In fact, some did not find their names registered, while some were turned away because they did not adhere to the rules of the station, as according to the officers in charge. Whatever these different circumstances may mean, there is one thing we can be certain of. The rest of Fiji is now ready to cast their votes come September 17. That's all from Navuso Methodist College, Drew.
Thank you, Apisalome, for that report from Navuso. And with one day until the mandatory blackout period commences, and political parties are taking every opportunity to campaign this weekend. While some are optimistic of their chances, the electoral process continues to be a concern for others. Apisalome Rambo has more.
The One Fiji Party is a new face to Fiji's political scenery, but their message to their voters is simple: to vote according to their conviction on candidates they believe carry some semblance of unity and racial tolerance.
Those people who have promised and will go on to do great exploits, not only based on their manifestos, but actually go out and fight for, in the floors of Parliament, ways and innovative means of reviving our economy, getting it up to speed, and creating a pathway of economic recovery for Fiji.
On the issue of their chances at the 2013 polls, the People's Democratic Party is adamant they'll have their say come the day.
We're encouraged with the support that we're getting. We have a voter base, and that is the workers of this country. And so far, from all indications, I think we will enjoy strong support of the workers around the country. And it's not only workers, but we believe the people in general. So the feedback has been very encouraging insofar as PDP goes.
For an old horse who's been in the running for over a decade, the new electoral process continues to be a concern.
This electoral system is not suited for Fiji. That settles that, doesn't it? You know, it's been borrowed from somewhere. It has been imposed on us, and of course we opposed it, and all the other political parties in opposition opposed it. And it needs to be reformed. It must serve the people. The system must serve the people, and people must not serve the system. This system requires the people to serve it. So we'll have to change this.
Whatever their differences are, one thing is certain: Fiji's political landscape will change after September 17. Apisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
It is now a race against time for those responsible for setting up the country's new parliament complex. Over the past few months, contractors have been working around the clock to get the new facility ready in time for the sitting of the new parliament post September 17th. Apisalome Rambo takes an exclusive look inside.
Putting it all together before our new parliamentarians will walk through its doors and finalizing how it looks from the outside with limited time on their hands, this final phase is run on a 24/7 work shift to ensure it is completed in shape and on time. Whilst the interior of the building have also gone through a structural makeover to prepare it for some much anticipated parliamentary debate, the new Parliament House now resembles an entirely new look even a few of our aspiring politicians are used to. The seating arrangements also allows for a very interactive exchange on the floor of the debating chamber. To ensure that the debate in here is captured and recorded daily, this has also been reflected and inbuilt into the construction design. Now literally racing against time, there is good news at least for this landmark piece. But this is also history repeating itself. After all, this was the original location for Parliament back in the day, before it was converted into the Supreme Court. Either way, this refurbished part of government buildings will soon once again be the center of debate and discussion on matters of national interest when our 50 members of Parliament are voted in, come September 17th. Apisolome Rambo, FJ1 News.
And joining us live now from government buildings, the location of the new Parliament complex is Apisolome Rambo. Api, what else can you tell us about the works now ongoing at the new parliamentary complex?
Thank you, Willie. As you can see, the new parliamentary complex is right behind me. As for our local contractors who are still working tirelessly around the clock, it is definitely catch-up time as the election is just a day away. The facility really has a rather colorful history. It has played host to the Legislative Council, to the members of the cabinet lineup post-independence, to magistrates, to judges and members of the public in its role as the Supreme Court. And of course, the most memorable one, really, the May 14th, 1987 military coup. As for its location, really, it is very convenient. It is just a stone throws away from the PM's office. So the PM will literally walk into Parliament every day. He goes into that facility. It is only befitting to say, really, that the facility is about to step into a threshold of another one of its colorful history, when our 50 new parliamentarians will walk into its doors after September 17. That's all from the government buildings, Willie. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Api. Competition in the local mobile sector continues to heat up. This comes as Digicel filed an official complaint with the Telecommunications Authority of Fiji against what it claims is unfair tactics by its competitor. Digicel's complaint is over one of their recently launched products, its Freedom SIM package. Apisolome Rambo with the story.
Competition in the local market is no doubt intense, but Digicel insists it must also remain clean. Digicel now accusing its competitor of alleged unfair practices.
A significant issue that's come up in the market in the last week is from our competitor approaching Digicel customers in the street and asking them to swap their SIM, which I don't agree with at all.
McLean did not mince his words, stating his personal opinion on the alleged act of SIM swapping.
So this practice, I think, is lazy, and I think it's fairly uninventive, unimaginative, and I don't think it's fair play at all. So, you know, this has implications for our customers.
McLean added registration records and SIM ownership rights is at stake when SIMs are swapped.
So if I was to come to you and ask to take your Digicel SIM away and offer you a competitor SIM with some credit on it in exchange with no financial transaction, the thing you need to be aware of is that the SIM is registered to you. Any usage that's on that SIM subsequent to you giving that up, you're liable for. And that's what the SIM registration decree in part was designed to address, which was to make sure that there's responsible use of communications equipment in Fiji.
Digicel has officially launched a complaint with TEF highlighting their concerns.
So Digicel is working with the Telecoms Authority to investigate this, and we hope that this can be resolved amicably with all the parties in Fiji, in a mature way.
Questions have been sent to the other operator. When this bulletin was prepared, there was still no response. Apisolome Rambo, FJ1 News.
Political scientist Dr. Stephen Ratuva is already calling the general elections 2014 results. And he says there will not be much change in the overall vote count, still underway at the National Results Centre. Dr. Ratuva says Fiji First's strong lead will be hard to chase down, even with a late surge from other parties. Apisolome Rambo with the details.
They say politics is game of numbers. The numbers coming out so far clearly show who is well ahead of the pack. And who better to call it than political scientist Dr. Stephen Ratuva, who forecasts it's now game over.
There's no way in which, even the SODELPA would be able to bridge the gap significantly. So there may be a change in 1 or 2%, but it's unlikely that it will change the order of things at the moment.
Dr. Ratuva says it is now becoming clear who will make up the new 50-member parliament.
With 60%, they have about 33 seats or 34 seats, and there's a Fiji First and Sodelpa with about 14 seats, and the National Federation Party with 3 seats. So tentatively, those people will go into parliament.
The political analyst also believes the Fiji First campaign strategy has now paid dividends.
What the Fiji First had done was to use the presidential style of campaign, which means that it is really just one person. It is really the individual in the form of Bainimarama. And when he goes out, he tries to do so in a populist presidential style by shaking people's hands and meeting people, something which is not often seen in Fiji. So the whole idea is to engage popularly with people, so that's how you build up your popularity.
So as the final count resumes, it may all be a foregone conclusion. In a matter of hours, we will know for sure whether the man initially dubbed a coup maker has now come full circle as a legitimate, democratically elected leader. Apisolome Rambo, FJ1 News.
Now, Fiji First Leader Rear Admiral retired Vorenke Bainimarama has said he remains highly confident of winning the election with a good majority. Speaking exclusively to our reporter Apisolome Rambo today, Bainimarama says he's ready to form his democratically elected government once the final results come through.
It may now boil down to number crunching as the count continues. But for the man wearing the number 279, it was the perfect day for a game of touch rugby. Just a stone's throw away from the site of the new parliament at government buildings, the Fiji First Party leader knows as far as politics goes, elections 2014 has been a game changer.
I think we're fairly excited about the results that are coming through. But we have to, I guess, wait for another 24 hours before the final results get through to the public at large.
As far as the Multinational Observers Commission is concerned, everything is fair and clean.
That's what I understand from the footage I've seen of the statement. So everything's good.
Bainimarama also commending elections officials for their efficiency in running the elections.
I think the supervisor of election has done a tremendous job in getting us through the election and to the counting phase. I think him and his team should be commended for the wonderful job that they've done for us.
No doubt now enjoying the political game, political experts now say Bainimarama seems to have won the confidence of the Tauke populace, if current numbers are any indication so far.
Let's say 5% would have gone that way, and that leaves about 53% of the Tauke voting for Fiji First. You can add or minus as a margin of error 1,000 or 2,000, but it appears that less than 50% of the Tauke actually voted for Sodelpa, about 42%, and more than 50% of the Tauke actually voted for Fiji First. Here you're talking about at least 53, 54%.
Bainimarama, however, brushed aside all political commentary, saying he has the game in the bag.
I don't think you should listen to Dr. Otubo much. Well, we've been ahead the last couple of days, count by over 100,000 votes. So I have no doubt that we will come out winners.
A game changer, no doubt, in Fiji's checkered political history. Apisolome Rambo, FJ1 News.
And as this bulletin goes to air, the leaders of 5 political parties are meeting in Suva. This latest meeting comes after yesterday's joint statement by the National Federation Party, Sodelpa, Fiji Labour Party, the People's Democratic Party and One Fiji over what they alleged were irregularities in the electoral process. We now join our journalist Apisolome Rambo at Studio 6 on Waimanu Road in Suva. Api, tell us what's happening there.
Thank you, Drew. We're here in front of the Studio 6 apartment in the Waimanu Road in Suva. With us here, as you can see behind me, all the local media personnel, including international media who have come from overseas to witness the 2014 general election, and of course are here for this press conference that we were told that it is going to go on this late afternoon. As we walked in, someone from the Multinational Observers Commission was here too, but she has just walked out about 15 minutes ago. From what I gathered from all those who have been waiting here, the meeting is already going on behind closed doors by the 5 party leaders. We have been told by some who walked out of the meeting that there is not going to be any conference, and then they have no idea that the media is here. Some of the issues raised by the party leader, according to a letter here to Mr. Chen Banyang, the chairman of the Electoral Commission, that they request further access to the electronic database to allow their reps to make further verification and reconcile the numbers that are out at the moment with those that they believe will be coming out soon. So that's all from here at Studio 6, Drew. Nothing is happening. The media are still around. Some have left already. Until someone comes out to call us in, it is going to be a political cat and mouse hide and seek game, Drew, from Studio 6. That's all from Studio 6 apartment. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Api, for that report from Studio 6.